Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I wanted to share some basic information to help you get started with creating an art journal. Art journals are really useful for self-care and for self-discovery. I'm going to provide some pared down basic information to make it affordable and easy, and also just explain a little bit about what an art journal is and is not. I teach people how to incorporate both art making and journaling together, as I feel that it works to communicate best with yourself on different levels. To begin, you really just need to have some basic materials on hand and a journal that you can use. Commitment is probably key for keeping an art journal and the first step in the process. The goal would be for you to make an entry in your art journal at least once for 21 days. One thing I have found that can alleviate intimidation for people is to first provide an understanding of what an art journal is by explaining what it is not. An art journal is not a sketchbook of any kind. It's not fine art, and it's not drawings that are elaborate or well constructed. I have a lot of sketchbooks, and I keep ideas for different paintings and different works inside of them, but that is not my art journal. An art journal is not meant to be a beautiful work of art in any capacity. It is not a bullet journal. It's not junk journaling. Junk journals are beautiful, and I love making those kinds of designs and working with collage, but again, that's not an art journal. An art journal is also not a collection of knowledge, poetry, or recipes, nor is it meant to be any kind of a resource guide or a reference book for you. So those are examples that I could come up with for what an art journal is not. And that's not because there's anything wrong with any of those things. It's more that those are forms that are just too refined. When journaling with art, we're wanting to extract raw, unedited thoughts from your subconscious. An art journal is where you're connecting with yourself through colors, symbols, patterns, metaphor, and really just creating whatever comes to mind, without the worry or the fear that it will be good enough, impressive enough, or Instagram worthy. I'm going to take a guess that you probably don't share your personal journal with friends or family, so an art journal entry is really no different. Those are meant to be private works of art that aren't really shareable. So to get you started building your supply list, the primary tools that I would suggest you invest in would be an art journal. So this would be a book of sorts that has blank pages, preferably with watercolor paper or mixed media paper. You would also want to have watercolor pencils in an assortment of colors, a pencil sharpener, and a small round paintbrush. You can add more to this list as time goes on, but for the bare minimum and just getting started, this is what I would suggest to purchase. Watercolor pencils are different from regular colored pencils, and they're unique in that it is one tool that can serve two different purposes that are very useful in terms of this process. There is a grounding element to pencils of any kind and any kind of dry media. So if you're feeling emotional, tearful, stressed, upset, using the pencils as pencils will help ground and regulate your nervous system. If, on the other hand, you're finding that you're feeling a little numb or having a hard time connecting with your emotions, you can paint with water over top of your colored pencil drawing and allow the fluidity of the water and the blending and the movement of the colors on the paper to connect and speak to your emotions. The simplicity of having a variety of colors and two primary functions, both to be used as a grounding tool and or to activate emotional connectivity, is ideal, and it makes your upfront investment a lot lower. Then it's just up to you. If you can commit to making entries every day for 21 days, you will see improvement or just some type of change. It's simple because you're only relying on your unconscious to direct you through the process, and yet that also makes it difficult because you're going to have to fight past your resisting thoughts and insecurities. To begin, you're going to want to sit down and find a quiet space with your materials, and then you're just going to pick a few colors that speak to you. Next, you're just going to doodle or create any type of work of art using lines, shapes, color in an abstract or figurative way. There's really no rules, just let it flow. The hardest part will be to not overthink it. If something pops in your head, feel free to draw it. Just draw that particular item and then move on. This is not going to be graded or judged, and by no means do you have to have amazing art skills in order for this to be beneficial. If all it is stick figures and some scribbles, that is actually perfectly okay. I'd say maybe give yourself a timeline of maybe 15 to 20 minutes to begin with, and then if you decide you'd like more time, you can always add to that. If 15 to 20 minutes seems too daunting or too long, you can also do this in as little as 5 to 10 minutes. After you've begun creating an entry, or whatever thoughts have come to mind have been released onto your paper, just listen to your thoughts. So even if all you're thinking about is the stressors of the day or your own doubts and personal questions, just allow them to be processed while you're creating art. After you've created your entry and your time frame is up, look over what you've made. What stands out to you? What colors did you use? How do these colors make you feel? Have they been meaningful or significant to you in the past? Are there any images or symbols that you created that you can immediately identify? Is there anything odd or specific that stands out from the rest of the page? These are the things you're going to want to look for. This observation process is called having a conversation with your art. So when you feel you've finished having a conversation with your art, you're going to journal about that process, and this time you'll be using words. Consider this a type of reflection on the process. What thoughts were you having while you were creating art? What came to mind through that process? Any connections that you made? Was there a point of resistance and doubt where you felt plagued and like, I don't know why I'm doing this? Was there a point of release where you suddenly felt much better? How are you feeling now? Write all of these things down and see what you've discovered. So again, give yourself 21 days with your art journal and see how you're feeling. I promise that you'll discover new things, probably mostly about yourself. And this process is going to help you make connections, and likely you'll experience a reduction in your overall stress level and hopefully an improvement in your relationships. If you are in a caring or helping profession or teaching and you experience compassion fatigue or burnout, I strongly encourage you to give this a try and use this as a healthy self-care activity that you can engage in on a daily basis. And that's what I have for you today. I hope you find some clarity and feel inspired to dive in and try your hand at art journaling. And stay tuned for more tips and tricks surrounding all things art and wellness. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.